Game on the line. Williams lofting one for Aduka. He caught
it! You're listening to the world's #1 football podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Ben Hanson, Matt Hartman, and Ryan Matthews.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pigskin Project. I am Matt Hartman, alongside Ben Hanson. No Ryan this week, so we're a man down this week, but we're still going to be hitting hard college football. And as you can see under my name, college football does not start this weekend, sadly. It starts the weekend after. I'm sorry to be controversial, but a game in Dublin does not start our season. We do not do that. So
that's one of the craziest takes I've ever heard. Week zero. That's fantastic. Week zero is a thing.
Week zero is chips and salsa. It's chips and salsa. It's a little snack to get your belly ready for what's coming. All right, you know what I'm saying? Like, because that feast is upon us in just a few minutes. But how are you doing, Ben?
Dude, I am doing absolutely fantastic. This has been a show that I've been very excited and eager and a good anxious to get out there because college football again, it's the first love. I love college football. Obviously just as much as I love the NFL, but it's finally time, as you said, to kind of dig into the feast that is college football. And I'm so pumped to do it. But how are you feeling?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to talk college football. As you can see, with the Arch Manning is now displayed. Texas, for the first time ever, is preseason #1, so major expectations in Austin this year, and they should be. They've made the semifinals back-to-back years and not made the championship game yet. But before we get started, we're going to start doing this. We're going to do a show rundown, all right? Just want to get the people knowing what is going on today. So today we're going to talk 12-team playoffs. We're each going to have our own brackets and run through the brackets, and we're going to have a national championship for you today. We're going to start with weekly news around the NFL because even if we're talking college football, the NFL doesn't stop. We're going to, like I said, chips and salsa, we're going to dip into week 0, but not really hit it too hard. And then I don't know if you brought some too, but I have 3 people or position groups, I should say. So maybe that spoils one of it. But I've prove it year for some of these people in college football. I wanted to throw that out there. And then to top it all off, we're going to have a Heisman draft. Kind of just talk through some picks and go from there. So without further ado, if Ben, you don't have anything else to add, let's run through the NFL weekly news. Sound good?
Yeah, let's jump into it.
All right. So weekly news. Obviously, the most recent thing that happened, we're going to turn this into, because we're on, College Corner has turned it to its full show. We now have to have a Saints Corner. So we're going to talk Saints for a minute here. The Saints just traded a 4th-round pick for Devon Vele, and he's a good player. And I can talk myself into it, as I can for anything. I did on Twitter. He's got 3 years of, flexibility. He makes less than $1 million this year, 1.1 next year, and 1.2 the year after. I think he's a good player. They needed size. Everything that in a receiver you wanted for the Saints, you just got right now. They might have traded the first pick in the 4th round, man. And so that's the part that gets me a little bit anxious. I think the capital is really extreme, to pushed into craziness territory. But I've been a proponent of let's not sacrifice future years for this season, while at the same time, Vele isn't that to me. Even if he is older, because he's going to turn 28 during the season, I understand that, but you got to get a receiver that can at least win some jump balls for whoever the quarterback is. You need to have this without a doubt. either know that one of these two quarterbacks is going to start next year, or we're taking one in the top 5 picks next year. So I like the player. I don't like the compensation, and it makes me believe someone's out. Like, we saw this morning, like, Minnesota's trying to get a receiver. The Niners are trying to get a receiver. The Saints weren't even in talks. Like, they weren't even, like, leaking to the news. Like, hey, we're trying to get a receiver, too. But, yeah, your thoughts on this one? I assume you kind of agree with me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think giving up, again, probably what will be a top 3 pick within, the 4th round.
Yeah.
Is a little rich for my blood, especially considering what we have seen other, wide receivers within the last 2, 3, 4 days going for. Would you prefer, Devon giving up your 4th round pick, or would you prefer a John Mechie giving up a 5th round pick and still getting a pick back in return? The compensation there, again, as you said, it's hard to stomach, but again, there has been a whole litany of other wide receiver moves across the NFL over the last 2.5, 3 days, which is kind of a weird timing for everything to break down. So
yeah, and ironically, one of the best moves at this time last year was the Texans just outright cutting Noah Brown, and the Commanders having a wide receiver too all of a sudden last season for a 12-win team. So yeah, I think people are in an arms race to get receivers in a passing league, and the Saints, like I said, I think I said on this show that Bub Means was the tallest receiver on this team, and he was 6'2", and a half. Well, he's out for the season with an ankle injury. He was placed on season-ending IR, so they literally have nobody, and I think this puts Cedric Wilson on the chopping block. So yeah, I mean, Vaylei's going to have a pretty big role walking in the door, where with the Broncos, I should talk about the Broncos a little bit here. They have Mims. They took Pat Bryant in the 3rd round, who I really liked. They took Troy Franklin earlier than Vayley last year, so they were a crowded room already. Sutton got that extension, so I think they were okay with giving up Vayley for a 4th round pick. I think that's what happened. I don't think he was a cut candidate, like some people are saying. It's like the Saints just traded a 4th round pick for a cut candidate. No, but I do think he would have been priority depth more so than an actual outright starter each and every week. But let's keep rolling through these trades. The Vikings trade Harrison Phillips, an interior defensive lineman, nose tackle, and a 27 7th to the Jets for 2 6th round picks this year and next year, the 26 season and the 27. Yeah, the Vikings have no nose tackle depth now. That was interesting. Their listed nose tackle, too, is, I believe, Jalen Redmond. He's under 300 pounds. So this one is interesting. I think this was a guy this is where we get into the cut candidate list. I think this was a guy that was not going to likely make their roster. And so they kind of just fish it out, see who needs defensive line depth. Anything to add to this one?
No, I think for who he is as a player, I think the Jets got fine value in return, or they traded up fine value for him. Again, as you said, he's a nose tackle. He's not going to be a guy that comes in and gets 6, 7 sacks on the season, but he knows what his job is. He's in there to stuff the run, and he does a pretty gosh darn good job at it too. So I mean, from both ends, I like the trade again, but I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about and dissect from that.
Yeah, if anything, it keeps Quinnen Williams off the field on early downs for those run downs, and he can be more priority rush the passer guy while also still being pretty dominant at any time. Just keeps him fresh. The Chiefs traded Sky Moore to the Niners for a 6-7 swap, I believe in 27. So the Chiefs trade Sky Moore and a 7th in 2027 for a 2027 6th round pick. The Niners just needed depth. They were scrambling for a receiver. Pearsall is their only healthy option right now. And that's including even Jacob Cowing and who'd they take? I'm blanking on another name who just had an high ankle sprain, but this one, were you high on Sky Moore in 2022?
I feel
like
not. I was
Okay,
never a
okay.
Sky Moore guy. I was the
Okay.
complete opposite. I mean,
I just know he had a lot of fans in the draft community.
and it was definitely a lot of helmet scouting there a couple of years ago, but the shorter player, and then like the Dwayne Eskridge and everything that came from it, I just
That's-
wasn't a huge fan of him.
Mhm.
I mean, given I don't think he was like awful or anything, but I mean, he hasn't really necessarily turned into too much to begin with. That's why the Chiefs were perfectly okay sending him away. I mean, he had like close to 250 yards these past 2 seasons. Again, he's not going to be anyone that's going to be like game breaking on your offense or anything. But as you said, I mean, the Niners just desperately, desperately needed someone. And they were trying to go after someone who got traded 2 days previously in John Mechie. And they just got beat out there. So, it makes sense that they had to pivot and try to go ahead and make a different move. So,
Yep. And then 2 trades that happened Sunday, one after these teams played each other. My Saints once again traded Colin Saunders for interior offensive lineman Luke Fortner. This is just teams swapping depth, man. Saunders was in a loaded room of defensive lineman talent. I didn't think he was going to make the roster, frankly. He was playing in the third quarter of a preseason game, and the Jags needed the depth. And then the same thing the other way. Will Clapp got injured for the Saints, their center, so our backup center. So Fortner can come in and be a backup center. He's not that good, but neither is Saunders per se. So I just swapping out depth. That one was pretty quick and simple. And then your Eagles traded for John Mechie from the Houston Texans for Harrison Bryant and their 5th back. And in total, like, it became like it's basically combined with the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade, right?
Yeah.
Like so your thoughts on John Mechie joining the loaded Eagles room?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, they basically swapped their picks back, the 5th and 6th that they traded in the Kenyon Green and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And then they traded Harrison Bryant, a guy that probably wasn't going to make the team to begin with, just a depth tight end. I mean, I guess it goes to show that, I mean, Howie's never asleep. I mean, we didn't need the wide receiver depth. This is probably the best that this wide receiver room has looked in terms of depth. But I mean, if you can go out and trade for, John Mechie, a dude that was drafted in the 2nd round just a couple of years ago, why not? And it does make me think, and I don't think it's going to happen, but I wonder if Dotson's on the trade block. I really wonder if Dotson's on the trade block. Because, again, they didn't really necessarily need Mechie at all. That room was fine. And if you can go out and actually get something of substance for Dotson, I think that would be fantastic. But, again, you're just continuing to add pieces to an already loaded offense. So it'll be interesting. And for the price they got him for, I mean, why not go ahead and take the chance? The Texans weren't going to, with them just drafting, those 2 guys in, the 2nd and 3rd round this past year. So it's a shot that Howie's always going to make. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, the other thing is the Texans lost Brevin Jordan for the season, before the season. And so Bryant kind of fits that mold a little bit more than Cade Stover, I think. I think they just wanted another body in the room. And John Mechie, I'm looking at their depth chart. You could make the case that he was like their 9th receiver.
Yeah.
Because they drafted 2 guys. Hutchinson passed him. Christian Kirk was traded for. And then they signed Justin Watson and Braxton Berrios, who like provide some special teams ability. So, yeah, Mechie was just odd man out. But that's all for the trades. We'll run through the quarterback battles going on. Joe Flacco is named the starter in Cleveland. No surprise there. The Saints are still undecided, the only undecided quarterback for week 1. I wrote about that, so if you are a Saints fan and interested in that, go check that out. I have my own opinions on that. You could go read them. And then last one, I think this is the one we want to talk about, if any thoughts at all. Daniel Jones is starting week 1 in Indianapolis. What are your thoughts, Ben?
Yeah, I've kind of always hated this situation that they've thrown Anthony Richardson into.
Mhm.
I mean, you drafted Anthony Richardson knowing he was a project, knowing he was a tradesy guy, and he was going to have to get playing time because he just really never. I mean, even throughout college, he had the one season of actual starting experience that got him drafted because of all of his traits, and then had these injuries off and on throughout his early portion of his career here, and he never really had gotten a chance to develop and get some consistent playing time, which hurts. But I mean, with Carly Ursay taking over, I mean, all the reports is that she's not dicking around. She does not care. She wants this team to win, which is funny because you're starting Daniel Jones, but I guess he has the higher floor than what Anthony Richardson has.
And that's where my thing comes in, is why is all of a sudden this floor of Daniel Jones desirable? 2 years ago, Tommy DeVito outplayed him with the exact same offense. So, like, that's my thing with this, is like, we're overestimating what a Daniel Jones floor is to me. Like,
But
this
what does
guy
that tell
is.
you about what Anthony Richardson has looked like thus far in training camp?
I think
if
it
Daniel Jones is
tells
beating him
me.
out?
It tells me Chris Ballard. I paid this guy $14 million. That's
Yeah.
what it tells me, more so than anything else. Because, yeah, it's 2 years ago, like I mentioned, Tommy DeVito outplayed Daniel Jones. A year ago, the team who paid him actively told him to go away midway through the season. So that was telling me he's not a top 32 quarterback last season. Signs a $14 million fully guaranteed contract because the Colts are so desperate for anything. I don't know why they didn't just bring back Flacco, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this is their decision. I don't understand why Shane Steichen can't build a competent run offense around Anthony Richardson, because I looked this up. So Hurts' 2022 season, when he was in the MVP discussion and Steichen was there, he ran the ball over 160 times in 15 games because he missed those like last two. Remember that kind of swung the MVP race a little bit. So in 15 games, he had over like 10 attempts a game. Richardson started 13 games last year. He had 81 attempts. That's crazy. So, like, that's my thing. I feel like you can lead into a really plausible run offense with Anthony Richardson, where with Daniel Jones, you're getting the boom bust with Richardson, where with Jones, I don't think you're getting any opportunity for boom. You're only relying on your receiver talent, which is pretty good. I want to point that out. But you made an interesting comment in our group chat. I wanted you to hit on it real quick, and then we can move on.
Oh God, which one? The one about Carly Ursay, or
No, the one about a certain coach trading for him.
a certain coach? Yeah, because again, it seems like they have given. I don't want to say fully given up because you don't know how the span of 18 weeks in the NFL is going to work out. If they get, the Colts could get 3 games in the season and be like, well, shoot, maybe that floor for Daniel Jones isn't as high. Let's go for the boomer bust with Anthony Richardson. But I mean, from the outside looking in, again, it seems like they're kind of giving up on him. And with that, I'm wondering if there's a certain situation that he can go to that we would absolutely love and see him to flourish. I mean, the one that came to mind was Les Snead and McVay trading for him, saying, well, we're finally going to get you your tradesy quarterback here, McVay, and he doesn't have to play right away. You can bring him in. He can sit behind Matt Stafford, which that's a whole situation in its own, right? And just learn and just spend the entire year learning. There's not going to be any pressure on you because there's Matthew Stafford in the building. And then we can see what you have post Matthew Stafford. Because right now there's not really a plan in place at the quarterback to begin with. And I'm just wondering if there was like any other situations outside of that, or even if we want to dive into this one a little bit more, that we'd feel comfortable that maybe Anthony Richardson can finally hit that ceiling.
Yeah, so what I immediately thought of was the Trey Lance trade, and Trey Lance was traded with like 2 games of experience for a 4th round pick in the next upcoming draft. Richardson has, like, surprisingly enough, a winning record. That's not really because of him. He's won with them, but much more experience very similar project-y types prototype like you talked about. I think Richardson, ironically enough at this point, I think he's worth like a top 75 pick still.
Probably,
like I think
yeah.
it would still take that, and that's where I'm like, no team's doing that. Because he's got the 1 year left on his deal after this year. No team is going to pick up a fifth-year option for the 4th overall pick who's shown nothing. So, but I like your headspace. Like, the headspace, it would be interesting. It would be interesting because I also have that devil on my shoulder that's like, there's just no way he walks in and he's just going to be more accurate because that's his biggest problem. But it's fun to think about the creative run schemes that are around the league, and hey, let's get this guy in here and we can have a little college-y offense. You know, we got our big body red zone threat kind of thing like that. But yeah, that's all for that one. Unless you have anything more. But
no, that's it.
Last thing, Isaiah Bond signed a contract fully guaranteed with the Browns. It is the equivalent to a late second-round pick by Cleveland. So this has been in place the entire time. Jimmy Haslam clearly has no problem with making these decisions for questionable backgrounds. Isaiah Bond was cleared of charges, so I don't want to make this sound like I'm attacking him, but that makes me believe that he passed Deontay Johnson on the roster immediately walking in the door.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on this one? Or are we good?
No, I mean, again, it's interesting to see how he had almost stepped in and immediately had made this roster when, roster cut down is 2 weeks away at this point. Yeah. But I mean, he was a fun talent. I mean, remember how excited you were when he had transferred to Texas in the first place, and all the stuff that he can bring within his speed, regardless of what his actual 40 time was. We all know that he's actually a good, true deep threat. So it'll be interesting to see what he brings to the offense. But again, it was just, like you said, very interesting that he almost immediately stepped in and is like already expected to get some like real genuine playing time with that season starting 2 weeks from now. So,
listen, Isaiah Bond will always go down as the man who retired Nick Saban. That's the story. That he was after the Rose Bowl. He walked in kind of like chest out, like I want a raise. We're gonna discuss a raise, or I'm leaving. And then Nick Saban retired a few weeks later. So that's a fun story that I've always thought about. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of what we're here for. We're here for, let me find it, 12-team playoff predictions. That's where we're going to start. I think I got to go first, right?
Yeah. I mean, do we want to just go, like, how do we want to do this? Do we want to do, like, our 12, like, both do our 12, both do our 11, or the whole thing?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do our 12s. Let's set up our bracket, and then we can kind of pluck off from there. That sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's start. Since mine is more... Since I'm insane, I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I predicted every Power 4 conference game. So every game... So, and everybody... And then I threw in my group of 5 team, and it's not Boise State. I was not going to pick Boise State. That was a rule of mine. I didn't want to. They probably will get it, but I didn't want to pick them. It's not fun. So let's start at the top. Let's start with some big game results of mine. So this is the early non-conference, and you see Ohio State beats my beloved Texas Longhorns. Bama beats FSU. Clemson beats LSU in the Death Valley Invitational. Miami will beat Notre Dame week 1. North Carolina will win their first game with Bill Belichick at the helm. Oklahoma will beat Michigan. Illinois will beat Duke. UNLV beats UCLA. Notre Dame will beat A&M, and Florida will beat Miami. Those were my early non-con games, and then we will run through my conference games real quick, and they kind of set the table. LSU will beat Florida. Georgia will beat Alabama. Bama will beat LSU, Texas will beat Georgia, and a mystery team along the way will beat Texas. I don't want to reveal one mystery team yet. And then the Big Ten. Penn State will beat Oregon, which is going to be an awesome game, by the way. Looking at those schedules, those teams are going to be undefeated, and that's a whiteout game for Penn State. Shout out, finally getting that right. I don't know if it's on Peacock or actual NBC, but that game's going to be awesome. USC is going to beat Illinois in a game everybody is really, really hyping up to be a playoff matchup. Like, this is a play-in game. We'll see. And then Ohio State will beat Penn State, and at the end of the month, Ohio State will finally beat Michigan. And I could be wrong about that. And then I have a mystery rivalry week game. And then last, the ACC and the Big 12. Georgia Tech will beat Clemson early at home, I believe. Yeah, they're at home. Florida State will beat Miami. Clemson will beat UNC. Both Clemson and Miami will beat SMU. SMU's out. All right, I'm out on SMU. Louisville will beat Miami, but they will lose to Clemson. And NC State obviously will beat North Carolina. That had to be thrown in there. Maybe that only matters to me. The Big 12, Kansas State will win Farmageddon. Utah will beat Arizona State. TCU will beat K-State. Arizona State will beat Texas Tech. And K-State will beat Utah. So that gets me to my conference championship picks for the Power Four. Georgia will beat Texas in a rematch. Georgia, Texas, and Alabama. Or Alabama was 6-2. I had them just missing. Penn State will avenge their loss to Ohio State, and they will finish 12-1, the number 1 overall seed. Georgia is the number 2 overall seed. The ACC, Georgia Tech will get a rematch against Clemson. This time Clemson will win, and Kansas State will face Utah once more. Because of that tie break, Utah will win. If you notice something, I had all of these teams losing in the regular season, but winning the conference championship game. So I thought that was pretty fun. Why not throw that in there?
Yeah.
So then we get into my top 12. Number 1, Penn State, the Big Ten champion. They're 12-1. Georgia, 12-1 SEC champion. So both of those teams lose in the regular season, but beat their foes that they lost to in the regular season in the conference title game. So they're the undisputed number 1 and number 2. You want to argue Georgia's better? Fine. I have Penn State higher. Ohio State will be number 3. They will be 12-1 with their only loss coming in the Big Ten championship. Notre Dame will be 11-1. Their only loss being Miami. You look at that schedule, man. Good thing they're still associated with the ACC. Notre Dame's going to get in every year if they continue to have this schedule. They have like 2 real games at Miami, home A&M. If they beat those games, and even then, like they could finish 10-2 and still get in. I have Texas at 10-3, obviously losing to Ohio State, losing to Florida, and then losing to Georgia in the SEC championship game. I do not have them knocking behind Clemson for a loss in a conference championship, even though Clemson wins. Clemson is 6. Clemson is 11-2. They lose to South Carolina, and they lose to Georgia Tech early. I think that would ruffle some feathers. But I don't think teams are going, with the way they did SMU last year, if Texas plays Georgia close, I just don't think they're going to knock anybody for a championship game loss, and sooner or later, they're going to eliminate conference championship games. It's just going to happen. Then we get into Utah. They are the Big 12 champion. They are 11-2. Then I get into Alabama at 8. They are 10-2. They will lose to Georgia, as I mentioned, and lose to Mizzou. Threw in Mizzou there. Number 9, I have Oregon. They will lose to Penn State, and they will lose to Iowa. And then this is where we get into, I'm also going to throw in here my 12 seed, UNLV 12-1. So what we have is, I think there's 8 spots locked in. I think there's 8 teams with their floors. They're just going to get in. The 3 in the SEC, Georgia, Texas, Bama. The 3 in the Big Ten, Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State. And then 1 ACC, 1 independent. I threw them as ACC, Clemson and Notre Dame. So there's 4 spots left. The Big 12 champion, which ended up being Utah, the G5 champion, which ended up being UNLV, and a mystery Big 10 team and a mystery SEC team. Let's start with the Big 10 game. So I have a Big 10 team. The mystery rivalry week game, as I mentioned. I think 9-2 Nebraska is going to face 9-2 Iowa. And that's going to be a game to make the playoffs. I think Iowa is going to get some big wins throughout. I think they're going to beat Oregon at home. I think they're going to beat Indiana at home. I think Iowa. I'm buying Gronowski.
Which is crazy.
I'm doing it.
Best quarterback they've had in years. I'll give you that.
He's pretty awesome. And for Iowa, all we're shooting for is what? Top 65 offense. Top half of the the country offense, and I think this team could be 9-2. Nebraska was much more schedule driven. They avoid Ohio State, they avoid Oregon, they play Penn State very, very late. Pull the Cignetti, man. Just make it close against Penn State. Just make it close, and you're gonna get in, or you're gonna have a chance to get in. But then we get into the actual game itself. The last 12 years, Iowa is 10-2 in this game, but they're gonna be 10-3. I have Nebraska back, making the college football playoff. Dylan Raiola is going to take a massive step. Year 3, Matt Rule. I'm buying it. I'm buying all of, the cliches around college football this year, so I have them in. And then we get into my SEC team. This was one that I took a deep breath, man.
You're going to break my heart if it's not who I think it is.
I can't believe I did this. So, I think that this team's got a coach on the hot seat. I'm just going to say that. I think they have a pretty... What if the quarterback is as dynamic as everybody wants to believe he is? What if the defense is like top 20 good because they have the talent to be? What if the skill players get there? And what if they return to a glory that they believe they should be around? If you thought Oklahoma, you're absolutely wrong. I have Florida as my 11 seed, 9-3. And a lot of people are going to say 3 losses, Matt, over a 10-3 Kansas State team who loses in the Big 12 title game. So some people are going to be upset about that. The reason I have Florida in, their losses are LSU, A&M, Georgia. All of those are November 1st or before. They end their season. They will beat Texas. They will have that chip. They will beat Miami. They will have that chip. Miami will still finish as a top 25 team. And all in November, they get to face Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Florida State. If they win all those games, we have seen the committee ride the waves of momentum in November. And if Florida is the hottest team in the country, going 4-0, beating a team like Ole Miss, who's going to be in the hunt, Tennessee, who's going to be in the hunt, Florida State, because they're in the ACC, is going to be in the hunt. I think there's just no way they're going to be as bad as last year, is kind of what I'm buying. I think Florida gets in as the 11 seed. So my top 12, as I mentioned, Penn State, Georgia, Ohio State, Notre Dame, all get byes. Texas will play UNLV. Clemson will play Florida. Utah will play Nebraska. And Alabama will play Oregon. Do we have any questions? Or do you want to get into yours, Ben?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll dig into mine. We definitely see, when you're doing that whole Florida stuff, I mean, there were a couple teams that came into mind.
Yep.
There's
I have
definitely...
LSU missing. I have A&M missing. I have Ole Miss. Someone has to lose in this conference.
Yes.
And I'm buying Florida. I'm buying Lagway. I buy Napier. I know a lot of people probably don't, but I buy Napier as a pretty good coach, and I think they figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, we see him a little bit differently. I mean, we see Florida. We have Florida at the same record. I have Florida just on the outside looking in. I mean, I did my top 12, and then I did 13 through 16 as well. We'll briefly run 13 through 16 very, very quickly. 13 is a 3-loss Big 12 team. Losses to Baylor and then Utah twice in the conference game. And that might spoil it just a little bit. Florida 9-3 with losses to LSU, Texas, Georgia. That'll make a little bit more sense once we get into the top 12 there. Bama kind of in that same vein, at going 9-3 as well with losses to LSU, Georgia, and Auburn of all teams. And we'll get down later into a later discussion as to why we kind of what about Auburn gets me pumped. But they did not make the top 12 here. And then 16 was 3-loss USC with losses to Oregon, Michigan, and Illinois. So those were kind of the 4 teams on the outside looking in. Very, very quickly, I did not have the same extent. I didn't go through all of the Power 4 game by game. But I do have your guys' conference games here. In the ACC, we see this eye to eye. I have Clemson and Georgia Tech. Clemson, being victorious in this. In the SEC, I have Texas and LSU. Texas is going to win that one. I'm right there, locks up with you in the Big Ten. OSU, Penn State. The only difference there is I have OSU winning it. And then out of the Big 12, I have Utah and ASU. Utah winning that one, as we discussed there with ASU here. But we'll start 1 to 4. We'll get these out quickly. Last year, we did not see a single team go undefeated. Mm-hmm. That's changing. Where we've kind of got used to the top 1 or 2 seeds going undefeated within the college football playoffs. We're getting back to that. 1 and 2 seed, you could flip them back and forth because they're both undefeated teams. They're both conference champs. My 1 and 2 seed here are Clemson and Texas, both going 13-0, both winning their conference. I just think Clemson's going to look a little bit more dominant along the way, probably because they're playing in the ACC. And then my other 2 teams here are LSU at 3, going 11-2 with losses to Clemson and loss to Texas in the conference championship game, which that's a whole discussion in its own right. Are we going to knock teams because they made it to the conference championship to begin with? Like if LSU looked dominant and they looked like this great team, are we really going to move them below teams that didn't play in the conference championship? It's interesting. And then I have OSU going 11-2, winning the Big 12 or the Big 10, like I just said, with losses to Texas. And come on now. I mean, you guys can't see the flag behind me, but who else? It's Michigan.
Yep.
Ryan Day has not been able to beat Michigan. He was not able to beat Michigan when Michigan couldn't throw the football. What makes you think he's going to be able to beat Michigan this year? So I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. They're going to lose to Michigan. So those are my teams that get the bye. Again, that's Clemson, Texas, LSU, and OSU. Jumping in at number 5 is going to be Georgia. They're going to go 11-2. Their only losses on the entire season are both going to come to Texas. Once in the regular season, and then actually no, they don't play in the postseason here. That is my bad. So they're going to have a 1-loss team to Texas. Their only loss, again, to Texas. They don't get that second loss because it's LSU playing. That's on me. And then I have Penn State at 6. Now, this is where we jump back to those both losses coming against OSU. So it's kind of the inverse of what you had when these teams are losing to them in the regular season, but winning in the postseason. I have them losing both of them to OSU. 7 is going to be your 1-loss Utah. Their only loss is going to be to K-State in the regular season, but they're the Big 12 champions. Nothing to worry about there. Your 8th seed is going to be Notre Dame. It goes 11-1. The only loss is going to be in that rivalry game to USC. That game is always a battle. It is always a pleasure to watch. but they will always be hamstrung because they won't have a hat to hang on saying we are, the conference champions in the ACC or something like that. And it's always going to hurt them until they figure it out. But like you said, in some rights, it's going to be helpful because they're going to make their own schedule and they don't have to worry about, playing against these conference teams and whatnot. 9 is Oregon going 11-1. They're only lost to Penn State.
You are much higher on these teams than I am.
Yeah,
I'm predicting much more parity than you.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Number 10. It's gonna kind of. It was rough, but I really, really enjoyed this team, and I like what they're bringing back. I think they're a little bit of an underdog here. It's gonna be Georgia Tech going 10-3. Georgia Tech going 10-3. They're bringing back in a lot of their pieces. It's a weak ACC team. I think they can do it. 2 losses to Clemson and then a loss to Georgia. Here's my, group of 5 team. It's going to be Navy. I discussed them previously a couple episodes ago. I really, really like their schedule. The only game that I'm worried about there is the loss to Notre Dame. I would be just stunned if they clearly beat Notre Dame, but I love the rest of their schedule. And then this is a team, Matt, this is going to come as no surprise. I mean, to other people, it will be. But my final team seeking in here is a Big Ten team that is going into year 2 with their head coach who has been able to make leaps into year 2 and year 3. They have a young quarterback that everyone really, really loves. I like some of their offensive pieces, just like Curt Cignetti did a couple years ago. They're bringing in a whole lot of transfers on the defensive side of the football. That's UW, baby. That's Washington. I have Washington going 10-2 with the losses to OSU and Oregon. Again, obviously that's why they're going to be, higher than them. But I love this team. Again, Damon Williams, he flashed. Early parts of the offseason, he was kind of a fun, well-kept secret in the Big Ten. But as the offseason went on, people have kind of caught on to him. They have one of the better wide receivers in all of college football in Denzel Boston. They have a running back in the backfield that has proven that he can put up 1,000 yards in Jonah Coleman. I love their outside cornerbacks. Both their starting outside cornerbacks are fantastic. It's Tacario Davis. You remember that guy? He was so much fun to watch. And then I'm not going to pretend that I know how to pronounce the first name of their other outside starting cornerback there. Last name is Prysock. He's so much fun to watch. And then, like I said, they brought in a whole bunch of defensive transfers. Both of their projected starting linebackers are Tyreek from, I think it's Wazoo. And then I think I'm pronouncing this right. It's Exree Alexander. He's played at Idaho and I think it was Central Florida. They brought in a CJ Christian, who's probably going to be their starting safety there. Another transfer, and then 2 more transfers along that defensive line this past year, one from Western Michigan and Ontario Thomason, and then a guy that had followed him, not like when Jed Fisher came, but this year, an edge. Again, I really don't want to butcher his name, but Tahi Ugalele. A really fun, again, they're bringing in all of these defensive transfers just like Curt did. And then Jed Fish has had a history of making these kind of jumps. Going from year 2 to year 3 at U of A, he jumped from 5-7 to 9-3. So we've seen him do it before.
Not to these heights.
I mean, he went from 5-7 to 9-3. And I have them going, 10-2, so it's not too far off. And I think he has a much better roster and a much better quarterback. I mean, Noah Fafita was fun for the 1 year, but come on, Williams is better. I like the talent on this team better. Yeah. Again, he's proven to do it. I love Washington, and I think we're kind of sleeping on him a little bit. Again, it's going to be tough because they play in a good Big Ten. But I love everything that Jetfish is doing there, and I think they're gonna be a fun team to watch. But to loop it around again, the teams that got the bye were Clemson, Texas, LSU, and OSU. So the first round looks like 5 seed Georgia against 12 seed Washington. That'll be fun. Penn State, 6 seed versus 11 seed Navy. 7 seed Utah versus 10 seed Georgia Tech, which Lord knows for the casual fan, no one's going to be watching that game. They're going to be like, what is this? And then 9 seed Oregon versus 8 seed Notre Dame. But that's kind of how the first round plays out to me.
Repeat your buys for a second. I'm filling out your bracket on playoff predictors. So you had Clemson,
Texas, LSU, and OSU.
Okay. All right.
So it's gonna be fun. We definitely see this a bit differently with your Alabama and your LSU.
Yeah.
I mean, we're pretty close there with Florida and everything. And I will say to your Nebraska point, I mean, Nebraska has a lot of stuff to be fun and happy about. I think we're probably a year early last year. Everyone was really, really excited about what Nebraska was going to do last year. And again, I think we're just a year too early, and I think we're going to probably see them jump into this conversation this year. So I do agree with that.
All right. So we can get a good visual, I'm going to share my screen of my playoff prediction. So does everybody see that? All right, good. So this is what I had. Again, what I mentioned. This is put all on to paper. The first round is going to be very similar to what last year entailed. Pick the home teams. I have the home teams in every single game. I have Texas beating UNLV. I have Clemson beating Florida. I have Alabama beating Oregon, and Utah beating Nebraska. I think Nebraska-Utah could be a banger, but we're buying Devin Dampier stock. So if you're not, you're going to – it's like the guy with the Bitcoin. It's like invest in Bitcoin now. And so that's what you got to do. Invest in Devin Dampier. Clemson over Florida. I think Clemson's just going to overwhelm them with overall talent. Alabama, I think they have the better quarterback, and just overall playing in Tuscaloosa, I think that's a tough trip for Eugene, from Eugene to Tuscaloosa. And then Texas, I don't think a Group of 5 team is ever going to win a game, but we'll see. Maybe one day it happens. Then we're going to go in order of when these games would happen. So first is the Cotton Bowl, which I have as Notre Dame, Texas. So I'm picking my horns. I'm picking Texas, obviously enough. I think Notre Dame is not going to be challenged enough this year. I'm challenging Notre Dame. I know they just went to the national championship a year ago, and I understand that they're going from Riley Leonard to CJ Carr. Theoretically, that should be an upgrade passing the ball, and it might be. But I think they're really going to lose what they were able to grasp in the red zone with Riley Leonard. And, I think Jeremiah Love is going to be in the Heisman convo. Do I think he's going to win it? Maybe, maybe not. But I do have Texas winning in the Cotton Bowl. And then we get into the next game, the Orange Bowl. We're going to have Clemson and Ohio State in the Orange Bowl, because the way these bowls kind of commence is that the teams who they get to pick. So Penn State's going to pick the Rose Bowl, Georgia's going to pick the Sugar Bowl, and Ohio State's going to pick the Orange Bowl over the Cotton Bowl. I think this one was tough. These were all tough, I should say. I think Clemson has maybe more talent than Ohio State this year. I think I can say that pretty convincingly. But even with all those players, I just think Ohio State has the much better player. And when was the last time we saw a consensus like top 5 receiver? We're just waiting for him to get to the NFL, go against a a Clemson corner with the last name Terrell. I think Avion Terrell's really good, but I don't think he can handle Jeremiah Smith. I had Ohio State winning this one. And then we go to the next one. We go to Penn State, Alabama.
Hold on. So what I'm hearing is you trust Ryan Day and a first-year quarterback in Julian Sayin to beat Cade Klubnik and Dabo Swinney.
I do.
Wow. Okay.
He's won a national championship more recently. So there you go. That's our barometer in our sport.
That's fair.
Then we get into Alabama, Penn State, the Rose Bowl. The last time Alabama was at this mark, they lost. Last time Penn State was at this mark, they did beat Utah, but I'm more thinking of the one against USC. Remember that phenomenal game where they blew it? Where James Franklin blew it, as he always does. But is this year different? Is it? I mean, they got the quarterback coming back. They got the 2 All-American running backs coming back. The defense is still really good. I think Zakai Wheatley is going to be in the conversation to win the Thorpe. I think he's that good. Even A.J. Harris he's on that list too. But it's Alabama. And Kalen DeBoer always knows how to win these games. He probably shouldn't. I think Ty Simpson is pretty phenomenal. But I think this is the year for Penn State. I have Penn State making it back to the national semifinal game in not a rematch, but a battle of the two teams who got to this point last year and lost in Texas and Penn State. Then we get into the quarterfinals, the last one, the Sugar Bowl. Georgia played in this game last year, lost to Notre Dame, obviously tragedy within New Orleans. Kind of delayed the game a little bit, but on the football field, they didn't have their starting quarterback, and now they don't have their starting quarterback in Carson Beck this season. So their starter from that game is their starter in this game. I'm picking Georgia just based on the sheer fact that it's a Big 12 team against the SEC. I'm elite. I'm an elitist, all right? Don't get mad. Don't get too upset. But, yeah. I have Georgia winning, and these are the final four. The 4 teams who commenced in their championship games. Texas played Georgia in the SEC. Penn State played Ohio State in the Big Ten. So let's start with Texas against Penn State. This is the big. Someone's got to make a national championship between Steve Sarkisian and James Franklin. And you get into the team of destiny with Penn State. And I do think this is the best team they're ever going to get. This is the best shot they're ever going to have. They're going to be the number 1 seed. They're going to finally beat Ohio State. They're finally going to have it. But sad enough for them, they're facing the player of destiny, Arch Manning, the 3rd-generation quarterback. He's on my wall back there, for God's sakes. We're picking Texas. They're going to the national championship. Obviously, the number 1 team in the preseason. They're going to have their bumps. They're going to lose to Florida. They're going to lose to Georgia in the SEC again in the championship game, but they are going to make it to the national championship. And then we get into the Peach Bowl between Ohio State and Georgia. Does that ring a bell, Buckeyes fans? Or should I say when the ball dropped? Noah Ruggles, wide left. C.J. Stroud played one of the most complete game I had ever seen from a college quarterback who was like just outmanned in that game. It was phenomenal. And they didn't have enough. This one again was tough. I couldn't decide. I just couldn't decide. But are we going to have a repeat of what the last time these two teams entailed? Georgia's going to have the home field advantage, obviously, in Atlanta. They're going to win the SEC championship there. It's just where they win. But where is the national championship located? Miami, Florida. I believe one Jeremiah Smith is from Miami, Florida. He is going to make it back. He is going to carry
Whoa!
his team. And I'm talking about a receiver carrying his team because I think he has the talent to do so. And Texas and Ohio State, have we seen this before? For the third time in 400 days, these teams are going to play. But this time for a national championship with all the stakes. For real this time. And
wouldn't this be so much fun for the podcast too? I know Ryan's not here right now with us.
it'd be electric.
It would be
It'd be
much
electric.
fun.
But this traces it back. This is full circle moment. When does college football start? Because this has been a big thing. It's not week 0. That's chips and salsa. It's not the Thursday before the games start. That's when you're setting the table. You know what I'm saying? The start of college football is 11 a.m. Central, 12 noon, week 1, when that first game kicks off. And this year, the game that kicks that off is Texas versus Ohio State. Could you imagine if the college football season was bookended by Texas and Ohio State? The main characters of our story, Arch Manning, Jeremiah Smith, meeting in the national championship in Miami, Florida. I have one thing to say, Ben, and you know what I'm going to say. And it's God bless Texas. Texas is going to win the national championship nearly 20 years to the day of when they last won their national championship against USC. This time they're going to beat Ohio State in a dramatic filled game, but they are finally going to be recognized. And so that is my playoff prediction.
I mean,
Let's get
quite
into
the
Ben.
storybook ending there. I mean,
Did you see it? Yes,
from
that was
start to finish. OSU in Texas.
pretty good.
Pretty good.
All right.
Pretty good.
Let me share yours. Let me get yours up here. All right. Where is it? Here we go. All right. Chat, can we see? Yes. Chat, we can see.
Chat, we can see. Well, we'll start off kind of in that same spot that you did. We'll start out with 12-5 here. Washington versus Georgia. Does Gunnar Stockton have it? Is Washington the team of destiny? Can Jed Fish win a playoff game? Can Damon Williams be that guy? The Washington Huskies are going to shock the world.
What?
Washington Huskies are going
They're
to
gonna
shock
me.
the world. They're going to shock the Bulldogs. Huskies on top. Anyway,
We're already just going.
we're going. We're going. Well, this might be the only time that we ever see a 12 seed win.
Yeah.
Soak it in. Remember the name. It's going to be great. And we'll kind of just go across the screen now. Everything's discombobulated on the schedule, kind of the bowl schedule that you do. So we'll jump right here at Oregon and Notre Dame. Does CJ Carr have what it takes to get it done? Does Dante Moore kind of show what he had when he was coming out of high school to begin with? Can Evan Stewart make it back? Can Evan Stewart play in this
Ooh.
game? Oh! But at the end of the day, no. You know what? We're switching up on the fly.
What?
You're going to Oregon. We're going to Oregon. We're going to Oregon.
In South Bend.
In South Bend. In South Bend. How much of an impact does losing your defensive coordinator have? Does CJ Carr have what it takes to get it done? I don't think so. I like Dante Moore more. I like this coaching staff
think
more.
So. He's out on CJ Carr, Notre Dame
Out of here.
fans.
Haven't even seen him, and I'm out on him. I mean, push come to shove. I mean, both of them come back to two quarterbacks that we haven't really. I mean, haven't seen play within their team. I mean, we saw a little bit of what Dante Moore was like at UCLA. It wasn't the best, but now he has a good coaching staff, an actual team around him, and I just think I like Dante Moore over CJ Carr. And then when push comes to shove, I'm taking the quarterback. So I mean, we have now already seen two upsets here. I mean, that's fantastic. No one saw this one coming. But as you said, I don't think we ever see a group of 5 team win. I don't. This one's easy. Penn State, you're moving on. And Utah. As much as I love Georgia Tech, Utah's moving on. I like the quarterback there. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Taking the home teams there.
Taking the home team there. But I mean, again, now you have a good spread here. I mean, you have the 12 seed in, the 9 seed in. You got some upsets that are brewing here. But kind of like we had talked about, obviously it's different sports here, but in the same vein that March Madness rolled out, we're going with the underdogs here. This is going to be the complete opposite. Kind of this college football season, in terms of what we had seen compared to last season, is going to be the complete opposite. Favorites are going to win every single one of these games. Every team that got a bye, every team that got a chance to rest and really scout their opponents are going to win. That's OSU, Clemson, LSU, and Texas. It's going to be it's going to be so much fun. I'm really circling that LSU Texas right there on the calendar. But we've talked about it numerous times. I really think Clemson is the best team right now going into the season in college football. Can Dabo get it done one last time? Can Klubnik really show what he has? We've talked about the pieces that Clemson has on their defense. Unlike you, I am picking Dabo and Cade over Day and Sayan. Clemson, you're moving on. As you said, I mean, this is Arch. People love Arch. Arch is the second coming. He's the messiah of college football.
SEC rematch for you, the champion.
SEC rematch. Exactly. That's really the big thing. Does LSU have what it takes to overcome Texas the second time playing? I'm sorry, Matt. Your team is great, but this isn't your year. Next year is your year. Next year, Texas is going to be on fire. Next year, Texas is going to be the runaway favorite. Arch needs another year under his belt. You got a lot of young guys along that offensive line. They need to develop a little bit more. I've said this before. I'm a big fan of Garrett Nussmeier. He gets it done. He gets it done the second time.
Oh, I needed to hear it. Rematch of 2020 national championship.
Wouldn't that be so much fun? Can LSU get it done a second time around? Can LSU get it done a second time around? At the end of the day, I don't know if LSU has enough.
In the horse. Chat.
Whoa.
He cut out.
Whoa. I have no clue what happened there. We just got too excited, I guess, for the rematch. But at the end of the day, does LSU have enough on the offensive side of the football, outside of Garrett, to compete with what Clemson has on the defensive side of the football? I don't think so. Clemson is your national champions. Dabo gets it done. Cade gets it done. It's going to be great. Just think back to 2 years ago with the way that we were talking about Dabo. Is Dabo too old for college football? Is Dabo stuck in his ways to not be able to win it?
Tyler from Spartanburg, dude.
I say nay. Let's get it done, Dabo. This is going to be beautiful. It's an undefeated season. Clemson. It's going to be fantastic. That's what I have for you guys.
Electric. He got too excited for the rematch. Just unbelievably electric. We went way too long on that, but that was incredible. For the stories told by each of us, but we're gonna move on. Before I want to shout out a comment. No, I'm not from Oklahoma. I like the Thunder and I like Texas. I'm from somewhere else, part of the country. So thank you for your comment. But let's hit a little week 0 pick. Ben, I kind of threw this on you, but we do have to talk about the chips and salsa. All right.
Just a little.
So I had a pick. I didn't end up picking Farmageddon, so I saved that for you. But Hawaii -2.5. They're winning against a power conference. Stanford. I think Stanford is that bad, and I think DeMarcus Davis, UCLA transfer, is that good. Former 4-star. He was a 3-star in the transfer. He's never played. So just going off that pedigree, he kind of got pushed out because of Nico and Joey Aguilar, who then transferred away to Tennessee. But yeah, I'm taking Hawaii. Rough travel for the Cardinal.
Yeah. That'd be a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, I'm taking Farmageddon here. And I mean, underrated quarterback battle to start. Well, I guess not in your opinion, start, but an underrated quarterback battle to kind of kick off the season with Avery and Rocco. I think it is going to be a boatload of fun. Again, I'm not in the same boat as you that week 0 doesn't kick it off. I really do think, and sometimes you get some really good chips and salsa, and that's what I think this game is going to be. I do think Avery Johnson has what it takes to win this, and I do think K-State's going to win in Dublin here.
Love to see it. Because we went too long on the playoff, I'm going to cut the prove it year. We'll save that for next week.
Yeah.
But let's get into the Heisman draft discussion, however I wanted to frame it. Let's get into that. So how this is going to work, we're each going to pick 4 players. 3 of them will be classified as, like any wild cards, whatever. You can pick whatever odds. The last pick you pick has to be over plus 5,000 doc, because I don't know what was Daniels. I don't know. Daniels was not that high, but Travis Hunter last year, who won it, was over plus 5,000 at one time. So there is precedent in recent memory to win this award from them. So, do you want me to start it?
Yeah, I mean, you can start it. My only ask is that I get my underdog, because I'm sure our underdog is the exact same individual. I mean, maybe not. Who knows? But I mean, you know who my underdog is. But yeah, you can take it away here.
With the first pick in the Heisman draft, I'm taking the best odds. I'm taking Arch Manning. Arch Manning. I think that the Heisman Award circles the narrative. And it circles that ability more so than anything else. And I just think that, I don't like the odds at 7-1 for a guy who's barely played. But I think we could come in here 3 weeks. You could see the Ohio State game, frankly. I know I have them losing, but just overall, we could see them 3-4 weeks in, and it's just this is the most talented player in the country. And I think narrative plays a big factor. I think we cannot ignore, as much as I joke about it and saying oh, this is the main character of the sport. It is. People are going to watch college football to watch what a Manning is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Giants fans are going to watch what the Manning is doing. Saints fans are going to watch what the Manning is doing. There is this, Colts fans even. It's ironic enough, all 3 teams who have employed Mannings along the way are in this hunt to get the next one, to get the 3rd generation Manning. But I'm taking Arch. Don't love the odds. Love the player.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, Arch, again, is the easiest selection to take here. Again, he has all of the narrative. He has a good enough team to get it done. He has a good surrounding cast. I mean, Arch, again, as you said, is the right pick to select, number one overall. And to piggyback off of that, I'm going to go with the guy that has the second best odds, Cade Klubnik. We end up with the quarterback.
Yep.
Both of us end up with the quarterback that we had for the teams winning it all. I think, again, Clemson is going to be the best team in college football. And when you consider that Clemson's going to be the best team in college football and they have a good quarterback, he is just going to, no matter what happens, is going to just be a part of that race because he plays on the best team and is a good quarterback. And again, I do think that we see Cade kind of really take that next step into being one of the best college quarterbacks this year. So easy second overall pick with Cade.
Love to see it. Love to see it. That's obviously my number 2 pick. We're not going to snake. All right, chat.
No.
We're not going to snake because it's 2 people. If Ryan was here, we would have snuck. Snaked? Snaked or snuck? I don't care.
Yeah.
Snaky snuck. Number 2, my pick is oh man. You're not gonna take him on the third go around. I think I'm gonna give you the player. I know you're gonna take him. But I talked about it in the playoff preview. I'm gonna take Jeremiah Smith. I think there's a world where I think Sand can sling the ball, but I think this could be circa Devonta Smith. Like, I think he is that good. He is that talented. 12-1, 13-1, wherever you can get it. I think he's just one of the most talented players that we've seen ever. And every person who come across that is saying the same thing, so I'm not breaking any news. But just overall, I think that if he were able to, because my predictions are what I believe, and if he carries this team to 12-1, 12-0, going into the conference championship game, and they're that dominant in conference play, they beat Texas, I'm just going to take Jeremiah Smith. I think the narrative behind him to have another receiver win it, Travis Hunter was kind of in between, but still, I think there could be a crowning, and then it leaves like a weird third season for him, because he's then going to be like, I have a national championship, I could have a Heisman. What would he do? Frankly, like
yeah.
So,
I mean, what more can he do? So
yeah.
There's a lot of options, and I'm kind of, to be frank, I'm playing the man, not the board here, because I think I know where you would go with your last selection. And I'm sorry that I got to do it to you, but again, I'm playing the man, not the board. Jeremiah Love. Kind of all in the same sense that you had said there with Jeremiah Smith. You can say the same thing about Jeremiah Love. Obviously a different position, but he's going to be the engine that runs that offense. We've seen a little bit of that precedent just last year with a running back in Ashton Jeanty being, the runner-up in that award. And I do think that Jeremiah Love is that special of a talent to be in this conversation. And again, I mean, I have Notre Dame making the playoffs. He's going to play on a good enough team, and he's going to put up, again, these eye-popping numbers. Jeremiah Love.
Yep. 40-1. I have him at 50-1, and even a 55-1 small ticket. So, yeah, we were early on him. So, love the pick. Like you said, playing the board. My third pick, I'm going to take the Alabama quarterback, Ty Simpson. And I think there's going to be a lot of pushback on that. Garrett Nussmeier's there. Lenore Sellers is there. Even DJ Lagway, who I have Florida making the playoff, is there. I'm taking the Alabama quarterback because I think his receiving weapons are so phenomenal. And what what DeBoer is able to cook up for these guys. Penix was runner-up a few years ago, and a lot of people thought he should have won it a few years ago. And you're bringing in Isaiah Horton from Miami. You have Jeremy Bernard, who came in with DeBoer from Washington, I believe. And then I haven't even mentioned Ryan Williams. Like Ryan Williams is, again, like we talk about Smith and even some other sophomore receivers. He's on the cover of the video game for a reason. So yeah, I think I'm going to take the Alabama quarterback more than Ty Simpson. I think Ty Simpson is talented, but even if this was like Austin Mack, which it was never going to be Austin Mack, I always thought Keelan Russell would be more of the guy, just if he is just so physically imposing. But yeah, I'm going to take Ty Simpson here, 18-1.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you in terms of taking the SEC quarterback here. I'm going to take the SEC quarterback that I already have money on to begin with. That's DJ Lagway. Now, what is his health going to look like come season? That's tough, but I do think DJ Lagway is that talent at quarterback. And again, we're talking about storylines. You had said it earlier in the episode when you had talked about Florida. If DJ can put up great numbers and bring back Florida to at least partial of the relevancy that they had, people are going to love it. I already have a ticket on him. I placed a ticket in like December on him at plus like 2,000. I think the only thing that's really going to hold him back is what is his health going to look like? Can he stay healthy for an entire year, play the entire season? And if I think he can, if he can stay healthy, I think he could be in this conversation.
Yeah, that's the reason I didn't take him, because it's just he is a mystery box, man, and I think what he brings to the table is also being a pretty physically imposing runner, and that's what I believe happened against Georgia. So again, it's just a hesitancy on that, but you taking the talent, I understand. I mean, you have money on him. So now we're into the underdog territory. So guys like Nussmeier and Sellers and Drew Aller probably not going to be picked here. So
nope. Can I guess who your underdog is?
Yeah, you can.
Is it going to be Dampier?
It is not. No.
Oh, I tried. I tried.
I took Raiola. And I think Nebraska coasting on an easy schedule. He is one of the number one prospect. Like, he is the number one prospect for a reason. He is that talented. I think for a true freshman, I think we had lofty expectations. They did what they needed to do for me, for Nebraska, is like they needed to get to a bowl and win it. They needed to beat another Power 5 team in a bowl game, or Power 4 team, in a bowl game, to just prove like, hey, we're going in the right direction, and we can really take a sky leap in year 3, because he's going to be more developed. Rule is just going to have it figured out, as he just does. Like, at some point, we need to look at this and be like, hey, he's done this everywhere he's been in college outside of, the NFL with the Panthers. But, yeah, man, I think he's the best underdog pick right now. I dabbled in another underdog pick. I've dabbled into Damon Williams with Washington, so I'm with you on that one, but not at 65-1, at 150-1. So I didn't like the odds on that one. Another one I want to throw out is 80-1 Joey Aguilar at Tennessee, because I think that I was never a big fan of Hendon Hooker. And Hendon Hooker finished 5th. He had the counting stats. Hyatt won the Biletnikoff. I think Mike Matthews over there is really, really good at Tennessee. He's a true sophomore. He's just, again, a part of that 2024 receiver class that I think just, what if he pops in a real way? And what if in a year where, again, talking the narratives, I don't think Aguilar is going to necessarily win the award, but just throwing him out there because, the narrative of, Nico leaving because of money, having this very vocal, verbal divorce, it felt like, over money in this new age of college football, and Joey Aguilar coming in from App State and being like, hey, I'll take the job and I'll do it better. What if they make the playoff and it's just there's no drop off from Tennessee and they're still as good as they were last year, and he's winning, and he's better than Iamaleava, because even last year Iamaleava wasn't too pristine of a quarterback. So, yeah, I just a shout out at 80-1. I was just looking through and interested, and did I mention Raiola is 65-1? So your last pick.
Yeah, I mean, before we get into kind of my last pick, kind of the two that had really like stood out to me, obviously outside of Damon, in terms of like fun underdogs that could maybe get it done. Luke Altmaier. Illinois is
Yeah.
a team that everyone
They just win.
really, really likes. They win. Are they the Indiana of this year? Again, if they're in that conversation, him being the quarterback, he's going to be in that conversation. And then kind of all the way on the flip side of the spectrum there, the best defensive player in college football, I think, is always just something to talk about. For me, it can be argued who that is. I think it is Caleb Downs. Given I don't think a defensive player will ever win this award. If Sue didn't do it when he did it, I don't know if any player will ever do it. Again, the whole Travis Hunter of it all, that's a whole, can of worms. But that's just, a floater to throw out there in Caleb Downs. And then there was one more. It's going to bug me. That's all right.
Colin Simmons?
Bo Pabila.
Okay.
That would just be fun. Again, that just, can he, get this kind of what is viewed as this lower level SEC team and bring them up and rise them up. And if he can do that, people are going to be like, whoa.
He's
this
awesome.
guy was sitting behind, Aller. And this makes sense now why he wanted to transfer out middle of the playoffs, because he's this kind of talent. But the guy that I'm picking here, this should come as absolutely no surprise to you specifically here, Matt. It's Cam Coleman, the wide receiver out of Auburn. I am absolutely in love with this kid as a football player. He is so much fun. He has the potential to I don't think quite get to where, Jeremiah Smith is, but man, he's pretty gosh darn close. He has the size. Can Jackson Arnold actually get him the football? If you go back down and you kind of look at the last few games of his season, he went on an absolute tear when he finally found him, a place within that offense. And if he can kind of just hit the ground running and pick up where he left off last season, he will absolutely be in this discussion. And we're going to be like, holy smokes. In back-to-back drafts, we're going to have a Jeremiah Smith, and then a year later, we're going to have a Cam Coleman. If you guys don't know who Cam Coleman is, I beg you guys to look into this kid. He's so much fun to watch. But that's my underdog, Cam Coleman. So,
yeah, he ended his season last year against A&M, Mercer, and Alabama with over like 300 yards across those 3 games and 6 touchdowns. So it's like, some people are like, well, Mercer's thrown in there. Well, A&M was a playoff team till the end, and Alabama was a playoff team there till the end against Oklahoma. So, like, he's a part of, again, I mentioned it, the 2024 wide receiver class. We're going to look back at that and go, my God, did that produce some ridiculous freaks all around the country. And Cam Coleman is no different, 250-1, obviously, because of the receiver and the element of like, hey, Jackson Arnold, throw the ball accurate to him.
yeah.
That is also on the table. So, but that's all for the Heisman draft. That's all I got, Ben. Do you have any closing thoughts here?
No. I mean, again, it's time to get excited. Again, you get that appetizer this weekend. In terms of what to kind of expect along the pipeline of this podcast as like, a whole, start seeing again more of the College Corner. College Corner is gonna come back and probably take up a good 30 to 45 minutes within the episode, covering both NFL and college within the same episode. Maybe down the line we'll break it up, but that's something far down the line to discuss. But again, college football is back. Get ready and used to us, talking about it every single week, compared to what we've been before. And again, it's I'm pumped. It's excited. And college football, again, I mean, college football is really what brought us together. College football and the draft. We wouldn't be here without it. So, but any closing thoughts for you, Matt?
No, not really, but just keep looking out for if you're here live, sticking to the end, make sure you subscribe. Got to throw this up here. Live every Wednesday, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central Time, the time you're watching now. Every single Wednesday, we're going to be talking football. And with the season just opening up, we have so much excitement for the NFL season. So, I mean, we're going to be posting over there. Just continue to like YouTube videos and keep interacting with those. We really, really appreciate it. But, yeah, that's all for me. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you to our sponsors, Uppercuts Grooming, Regional Radio Sports, and Spotify for podcasters. Ryan will be back with us next week, and we will see you guys on the other side.